the modern ethnic cleansing of Kashmir. This is one of those issues that you should keep an eye on if you want to be a good human being, to see what's happening on the planet and to stand up for what's right. This is a little bit more complicated. We might not know what's right so simple. It's an article by Faiza, one of our members. She always writes good articles. So this is what she writes. Imagine being born and living your entire life in a country where generations of your family were raised only to become a refugee in that very location, continuously being stripped of your rights and of your home. As inconceivable as it sounds, I, meaning her, became familiar with this unjust concept when she was visiting the refugee camps occupied on the West Bank. Now, under the influence of Israel, India is following the same strategy in occupied Kashmir, putting pressure on the locals over there. So the Kashmir population is mostly Muslim, Hindu. It was an autonomous zone. And now they're in some sort of a conflict. I have an opinion on this I'd like to share. About, you know, the Muslim people, Indian people, Hindu, so on and so forth. But let's just get a take from Boris. He's knowledgeable on these subjects. Let's get a word in here.
All right, so I'm just going to give a little bit more info on Faiza's article. I read her article. Basically, in 1949 and before 1949, there was a conflict between India and Pakistan, and it's centered around Kashmir, and there became a ceasefire that the UN, the United Nations, which is an organization that's created in order to solve problems like these in the world, and they created a ceasefire, and they developed certain rules within the autonomous zone of Kashmir. One of those rules being the people who lived there had privilege, and they were allowed to be the ones that had the government jobs, that had the civil service jobs. And so what ended up happening now, fast forward to our current day, is the Indian government decided to transfer 25,000 Hindu nationals into the region, and they revoked that law. So basically these Indian nationals are able to apply for government jobs, able to apply for civil service in this. And basically her point is it's sort of analogous to Israel sending settlers to the region of the West Bank. It's sort of analogous because it's the way she says it, it's like a colonial policy, you know, and it's destroying the autonomy of the region, and eventually it would, she's saying, and I would agree with her, it would displace a lot of the people that live there in their autonomy.
It's not going to end well, and it's unfortunate that that's the case. That's what they took this road to do, to put pressure on this region. They want this region for themselves, or whatever might be the case there. Now, historically, and what I'm going to say is not really pleasant to hear, but historically, wherever there's devout Muslim people, they have a hard time sharing the land and assimilating with the people around them. For instance, when Gandhi was working for the independence of India, his whole life project there, he wanted to have a unified India with the Muslims and the Hindus and the Buddhists all living in harmony. But that didn't happen, right? The Muslims didn't want to share a state, and they had their own breakaway state, Pakistan. Now, one thing that's pointed out from that little piece of history is that the Pakistani and the Indian people ultimately have the same race, right? They're the same people, part of the same family, but yet their beliefs turned into bloodshed and rivers of torrents of blood flowing in the streets as they battled each other. I wouldn't be able to tell you why or how, but wherever the Muslim people are, that isn't a national Muslim nation, they become beleaguered under pressure. China is doing the same thing. Right, India is doing the same thing. Right, wherever that's pretty much the only places that that's happening. But where they're not living in an Islamic ultimate state. In the United States, obviously, that's not the case. But we do things differently. But a lot of states, they can't share common ground. I don't know why. That's unfortunate. I wouldn't want to point my finger at a religion like that, but that's just a fact of life at this point. Max, you have any thoughts on this matter?
Yeah, I don't want to say too much here. I wouldn't exactly say I'm well versed on the topic. What I will say is that history always repeats itself, and whether that's for the better or for the worse in this case remains to be seen. And I feel for the Kashmir people at this time.
Yeah. All right. Veronica, you want to say something, and then we just go around.
Yeah.
Monica, go ahead.
I mean, I definitely agree with a lot of the points that Faiza said, and I think that it's horrible what's happening to the Kashmiri people. You know, it's really tough, the situation that they're in, and that they have to pretty much be, you know, displaced and kicked out of their houses and lose jobs. And, you know, I don't know if they're going to be able to make peace amongst each other, but, you know, I hope to see some changes in maybe like legislation in the future.
Veronica?
I think that election of Mosul led to rise in Hindu nationalism. So I don't think that Muslims in this case could be blamed, because they're people peacefully existing in Kashmir, and the rise of Hindu nationalism, which India does have a peaceful Muslim minority, that probably the largest population of Muslims, and they have coexisted for a long time. And then Modi came in, and there is a crazy wing of Hindu nationalists who feel like Muslims should be targeted and shouldn't even be in India. So I don't know. That's my opinion.
Vlad?
Yeah, I can't say too much for this topic because I'm not too versed, but I gotta speak. But you know, I agree with Max to what he's saying about how history does repeat itself, and this is just another example of how human rights continue to be violated in this world. And I think we all need to find common ground. You know, it's one of the biggest problems we have as a human race. Finding common ground is the step to peace. So, yeah, that's my opinion.
So I want to clarify one thing. I'm not saying that Muslims are the cause of it or something like that, but I'm just spotting the trend that they're unable to share a state if they're devout, because their beliefs are different, and this cannot be, and this can be, and you cannot, and this cannot, and one state. You got to have a little liberalism going on there, where people can have different opinions and share them. And you know, there's aspects to the religion that restrict that significantly. That this is absolutely wrong, and I can't stand for it. You know, gay marriage, whatever. It's absolutely insane. And you know, that's indicative actually of early Christianity in a way, where this is what it is, and anything else can't possibly fly. It's all heresy. It's all this. It's all that. That's probably not happening in Kashmir. I don't know why they're pushing them out, but the people, again, when they don't assimilate, and they can't work together, then they have to separate, and that's causing these ridiculous problems that can you know, springboard into other shit. So, you know, good luck to all those people. I feel sorry for them. I would definitely not like to be displaced out of my home for any reason, whether I'm this or that, or I'm, you know, here and there. But that's what happens when you have these bully states around and they want to do it their way, you want it your way. It's the bigger bull that's going to win. I don't know. Huh? Right? Trax News is our panel. Thank you for watching. Join the organization. We'd love to have your opinion here.